What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Simply 10, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Hogwarts extensions from LEGO. And this is going to be a little different than most of my LEGO reviews, as this is a combination of 3 sets, not just one, so we're going to be seeing a little different of a review. And it is also a change in venue, as I usually do over there on the desk, but obviously there is no room for this on the desk, so here we go. So for number 1, we are going to be looking at the basic box information for each set. And for the first one, we have set number 75954, the Hogwarts Great Hall, with 878 pieces for ages 9 through 14. For the second set here, we have set number 75953, the Hogwarts Whomping Willow, and this is ages 8 through 14 with 753 pieces. And for the third part of this, it is the Hogwarts Clock Tower, set number 75948, with 922 pieces and ages 9 and up. The first set comes with 10 characters, the second set comes with 6, and the final set comes with 8. So in terms of characters for number 2, I'm going to be looking more at how well the characters match all together when you get all 3 of these sets, and how many duplicates there are and things like that that you should probably take into consideration before you buy all 3 of these sets. So the greatest number of duplicates that we have is 3, and that is for 3 characters, which is Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, and Hermione Granger. For Dumbledore, we have 2 versions of him, and then the rest of them only have 1 version throughout each set. And going back and taking a look at these sets of 3 right here, they actually did a pretty good job with them, as there's a different kind of Harry for each one, a different kind of Ron for each set, and then Hermione is the only one where you get an actual duplicate, like complete duplicate, the same face, same printing, but other than that, every single character has its own unique print across these 3 sets. And at number 3, we have the extra or side builds that come with each of these sets. The Hogwarts Great Hall comes with this boat and the basilisk. The Hogwarts Whomping Willow comes with the Whomping Willow and the Weasley car. And then the Clock Tower comes with a Christmas tree and 2 tables. And well, in terms of side builds, these aren't like the biggest side builds, but it's actually a good thing to not have very many side builds because you want to have most of your stuff connect to your castle. So I think it's nice that there's not very many of them. And along with that, there's no duplicates either. It's a lot of different unique builds that are important. Well, most of them are. I wouldn't say that this is the most important, or the tables. So overall, a pretty nice selection of side builds. And for number 4, we are going to be looking at the features and functions of this combined castle. So starting over here on the left, we have the basilisk, which can wiggle around, its tail can move at all joints, and its mouth can open. And then coming right here, the doors can actually open if you push it from the inside. And then moving across to this next set, the Whomping Willow. Obviously the Whomping Willow can move like so. You can stick the car in the tree. You can actually pull this car out. It's not connected. And then looking inside the car, you can put suitcases in the trunk. And then on the inside of the car, there's enough room for 2 figures. And coming around to the back side, there are a lot more features back here, as you can see at first glance. And we're going to start once again over here in the Great Hall. So, as you can see, it is quite a big room. There's benches for each of the 4 houses, and then there's even chairs for some of the teachers. And then this flag can actually be twisted around, and as you can see, there's another house on the back side. So this one is Gryffindor and Hufflepuff. And this one over here is Ravenclaw and Slytherin. And then coming right here, there are stairs that you can actually move inwards. Not the greatest function. As you can see, they don't really line up perfectly back here on the back side. It's all weird. But then when you pull it out, they can actually open. And well, that's one of the first problems with this set, is the lantern doesn't let you push the stairs all the way in. So this is the Whomping Willow right here, and this is the Great Hall. And the lantern from the Whomping Willow doesn't let you push the stairs all the way in from the Great Hall. And then right here, there's a cauldron with some things inside of it. And then there is the sorting hat, and then inside of this chest, you have to pull it out to open it. And inside, you can see there are gems. And at the top here, we have the Mirror of Erised, which is from the first Harry Potter movie. And if you don't remember exactly what it is the mirror that when you look into it, it shows your greatest desires. So you can put in Dumbledore's greatest desire, which is his socks, or you can put in Harry's greatest desire, which is his parents. And then you can actually flip it out for this one. You can have Ron's greatest desire, which is being the Quidditch captain, and then Professor Quirrell's greatest desire, which is the Sorcerer's Stone. And then one last thing up here is the Phoenix, and this is a buildable character made out of Lego bricks, and they actually did a pretty good job with it for being made out of Lego bricks, almost like a creator style type animal. And while I probably would have preferred a special mold, it doesn't look too shabby. And starting over here, we have a little student area where they can make potions and stuff for their class. And then moving over here, there is it's a little pantry area, I believe, and it has a nice little broom. And then inside there are some jars and such. And then up here, there's actually the Gryffindor dorm room, and you can fit a figure in each of these beds. And then up here on the top, there's actually a third floor to this little area, and it is a little perch for Hedwig. It's probably worth noting that this set also comes with Hedwig, and it's the exact same Hedwig figure. And then nothing much as we make our way across the middle area, except for it might be worth noting that you can actually take the Weasley car, and you can fit it perfectly across this little thing. It sort of sits nicely there in the center if you want it to do that. Even though it never really does that, it can do that, so yeah. And then for the last little area of the Whomping Willow set, we have Snape's office, and you have a nice little chair for him in the back here. Then you have the Daily Prophet on his desk. Then you have some sort of piece of paper on it. And then there is a little bit of design back there in the background. And then moving on to the clock tower, we have this thing, which is actually one of the biggest functions of this whole castle. You can actually spin this around, and if you put people on it, you can actually make it look like they are dancing. So that's a pretty nice little feature, especially considering the fact that this is based off of the fourth movie, and in the fourth movie, they have the Yule Ball. And if you look back here, you can actually see a little bit of fire. And then moving on right here, we have the prefect's bathroom, which is where in the fourth movie, Harry takes his golden egg and he listens to it underneath the water for the next clue. Moaning Myrtle is actually in this scene in the movie, so I'm surprised that doesn't come with her in this set. But the bathroom's here, and I think it looks nice, with the nice little water coming out. And then up here we have Dumbledore's office, which surprisingly isn't over here where the sorting hat is. It's over here, so I'm not quite sure exactly what they were thinking, because look, you can even see the Phoenix, which is also from the tower, and the sorting hat in the background. So I'm not exactly sure what they were thinking there, but that is a thing, and this is actually a much nicer version of his office. So, I mean, this is the superior office, so maybe that's why they felt the need to remake it. I'm not quite sure. And then coming over here, we have the Goblet of Fire on the first floor with a chest that is holding nothing inside. And then up here we have the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom, which is also based off of the fourth movie, which is why it has Moody written on the board, because Professor Moody is the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher in episode 4. And then coming up here to the top, we have a Slytherin dorm room, I believe. I'm not quite sure exactly because they don't specify. It's just the beds are green, so I'm assuming it's a Slytherin dorm room. And then this crank is actually a feature for both the front and the back, technically, because it is accessed from the back, but something happens in the front that I will show you shortly. So with this crank back here, you can actually affect the time on the clock. So when you turn the crank, it actually changes the time in a way. Obviously it doesn't look quite right, but it is a nice play feature, especially for kids who won't know any better. So it actually looks pretty good. And you can even line it up with this little tiny clock that can't be changed. It's just a printed shield. So that's where I usually have it. I have it lined up with this. So at number 5, the biggest question is, when everything is taken off and all that's left is the castle, how well does it look together? And I gotta say, I really love this thing all put together. I love its shelf presence. It just looks so amazing. And the design continuity it's so good how, like, even though this is over a course of a couple years, it all looks like it was made in the same time frame. Like, it has the nice gray cones with a little green on the top all over the place. See, it's the same design all throughout. And then it even has these little tan colored points that are all throughout the set, except for not on this set, but there's really no place to put it on the Whomping Willow, but it is on the clock tower where it should be present. So I actually really like how well the design comes together. Now, one thing that surprisingly doesn't adhere to the design continuity is something that's very small and very not important, but something that I thought that I should just bring up because it's kind of interesting to me. And it has to do with the time. So as you can see on this clock, it is about 8 o'clock, and I matched this one so it would match. That way, you know, it's the same time, right? But then you bring it over here, and that is not 8 o'clock. And I checked the instruction manual, and my sticker is a little off. This hand is actually supposed to be pointing upwards, so this one is supposed to be pointing a little more down that way. So according to the instruction manual, this is supposed to say 2 o'clock. But then this over here says 8 o'clock, and you can't change this. This is printed, and I guess you could change this to 2 o'clock, but then that one's wrong. So I guess it's 8 o'clock over here and 2 o'clock over there. So for number 6, I answer a question that probably some of you are wondering, and that is, how does all of this fit together? So I'm going to go ahead and pull them apart and start the video again. And this is the perfect time to show the each separate sections like individually, so you can see actually like what each set is. So that's the Great Hall, that's the Whomping Willow, and then that's the clock tower. So just in case you were unclear, that's how it works. And then with the connections, the Whomping Willow actually comes with these 2 Technic pins sticking out that you can then connect into these 2 Technic holes, so you can easily connect them together. And then they changed it up just a little bit over here with the clock tower. They actually made one of them a blue connector and the other one a black connector. That way the blue one doesn't really connect, so it's only connected on this one little pin. And I'm not exactly sure if I really like it that way, but it definitely makes it a lot easier to disconnect and reconnect. This is sort of like that time in the video where the guy's like, but wait, there's more. So what there's more to this is with these 2 sets exclusively, not the Great Hall over here, so I'm just going to be showing you these 2 sets, you can actually customize the connections even more. So with this one, you can actually pull off this piece, and you can pull off this piece, and you can pull off this piece. So then you have 4 little separate sections. That way, if your shelf space doesn't quite work with the way this is all set up, you can actually change it around even more to see if maybe it does fit. It's just in the wrong orientation. And then the same thing goes for the clock tower over here. You can pull off this piece, and you can pull off this piece. So not as much, but it really is, with these sets together, it's really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces instead of just 3. So if you need more like help trying to help it arrange itself on the shelf, it can connect together in lots of different ways. And there's a good chance that maybe it does fit, as long as you have like either length or depth. Like maybe you don't have enough length but you have a lot of depth, you could probably go more inwards. But if you have too much length and not enough depth, then maybe you can make it sort of stretch out in one straight line. And that gives us the perfect segue into number 7, which is the portability of the whole thing. And while it's great that it comes with separate sections for each little area in these 2 ones over here, it actually is what makes it really hard to move around connected. And these connections on the side are way too flimsy for you to be able to pick up this whole thing and move it around. It's gonna break. Like, I haven't tried it, but I'm almost positive it's gonna break. Like, you can see all that movement, especially on the middle of it. So you have to pull apart each of these sections and move it individually. So here we are at number 8, and I haven't even talked about how much all of this costs. So that's what we're going to talk about. So the Great Hall costs $100 in the United States, the Whomping Willow costs $70 in the United States, and the clock tower costs $90. And then all combined, it costs $260. So I guess the question is it worth this price? If you're buying a gigantic set for $260, is this what you would expect out of a set like this? And I've got to say, this is more than I would expect, especially considering the character count. I mean, This is 10, so that's 17. That is 25 figures for $260. That's almost $10 per figure, which is crazy. Like, we never see a set that's $10 per figure. And then the sets itself, this is definitely worth $100 on its own. So I mean, it's worth $100 as part of all this, just like I'd say about each of them. Like, I think they're about the right price for each one. Even though the set has more pieces, you can just see the difference. Like, that's definitely $100 compared to this one. Like, it's just, they really price them so well, especially with the number of figures you get, and you only have one duplicate figure. I mean, that's just crazy. So, number 9, your favorite part, where you get to listen to me talk about how much I love this set. Or how much I don't love this set, but I love this set. And even though it's 3 different sets, I love it as, like, I would have bought this if it was a gigantic set like this. Like, it would have been harder just because, you know, it's a lot harder to put $260 down at once than to buy it in little pieces at a time. So I'm glad that LEGO did that, and I think it's really cool how you can get a $260 set over time. Like, it's almost like, sort of like when you like put down money for something and you slowly pay for it over time. It's almost like that, but with a LEGO set, and I think that's really cool how LEGO did that. I mean, the builds, they look great together. The characters, there's just so many of them, especially considering the fact that there's only one duplicate character, and I actually really like some of these other character designs. I just didn't get into them very much because it's sort of an overall view and you're more looking at this than really this. Just thought I'd give you a quick rundown. But other than that, I really like this, and I think that if you have $260 and you haven't gotten any of them, you should get all 3 of them. Or maybe if you already have one, I think it'd be worth at least, having 2 of them. Like, you don't have either, maybe get 2. If you have one, then get the other 2. If you have 2 of them, then for sure get the 3rd one, because they just look so good together, and it's definitely one of my favorite parts of LEGO Harry Potter that's happened since they've rebooted it and brought it back out onto the shelves. And at the end of this video, we have the final verdict. And I think I give this as close to a 10 out of 10 as possible. Maybe like a 9.5 out of 10. There's a couple places where the design doesn't quite work out well, and there is that one duplicate figure, which even though it's one, I wish they would have made her, like, just give her different clothes. I know it's not quite accurate, but just give her different clothes. But overall, I think it's just so good. The design's great, the look of it is great. It has a continuity across all of it, except for the clocks. And I just think that it's a dream come true for any LEGO Harry Potter fan. In the end, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to give this video a like, and let me know in the comment section down below how much you like this, and if you want to see LEGO to continue this. And as always, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, because if you like this one, there's a good chance that you're gonna like the next video that I come out with. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.